also feel like it's very hard to build trust in the pre-hello to the hello phase when you're in that prospecting phase. Certainly from the hello to the close phase, that's where you're all about building trust.
What have you done to execute? And that's how you start to inspire others' growth. Who have you helped out? How can you help the team and pull their morale and momentum up?
Everything comes down to someone buying. Nothing happens till someone buys something, right?
That's something I've learned a lot about in sales is being unattached to the outcome so that you can go create value.
The Modern Selling Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Modern Selling Podcast. And Modern Selling Nation, I bring you my friend, Mr. Tim Castle, the CEO of the Negotiators Edge and author of The Art of Negotiation and the First Domino. Well, boy, I'm excited about this topic because we're going to be talking about the First Domino today. But Tim, welcome to the show, my friend.
Mario, a pleasure to be here. Loving the energy and the shirt. That's amazing.
You got to love the Hawaiian style. Living the high life, man. Living the high life, even though I'm not in Hawaii.
That's what you want. That's what you got to do. You got to pull the future into the present.
That's exactly right, my friend. Well, listen, I'm excited to have you. I gave a little bit of background to the Modern Selling Nation listening in right now about you and your background, but tell us a little about the Negotiator's Edge, and then some questions about, what inspired you to write the First Domino, and then I've got a very special question I want to ask you.
Yeah, sure. So I think I consider myself a negotiator futurist. Like I look into the future of where negotiation is going, and I start to work with the tools, resources, and the problems that people are facing. The Negotiator's Edge is a training academy I set up at the nexus of persuasion, influence, and value creation in an AI-centric world. Because AI is here to stay, and negotiators that don't leverage AI are going to get outcompeted. That's the crux of it. I was then recognized in the world's top 30 negotiation professionals this year. So 2025 has started off as a very good year. And the books. So I wrote The Art of Negotiation back in 2015. And it's a decade ago now. So the world's changed a lot then. And that was very much a foundational book for those that wanted to get into negotiation and to learn about everyday skills. And I just recognized how much opportunity and value people were missing and leaving on the table. And I worked as a negotiator for over a decade in England and then in Australia. And that's what got me eventually out into Singapore. And so the First Domino is my fifth book. So we're just fast forwarding over a decade and over 5 different books. The First Domino is basically to help create leverage in your sales process, land that first flagship client. Now remember, Mario, that first client doesn't have to be your first client in business. It could be you've got a new product coming out, and you need that first huge client, that anchor client that's going to set this thing on fire, start that chain reaction. And maybe you've not joined a new company. You've got to show revenue impact quickly. It's the same pressure. You've got 90 days to show revenue impact, whether you're joining a new company, you're an entrepreneur, or you've got a new product coming out. This is how you can gain differentiation. This is how you can gain credibility. It's how you can raise more capital. So it doesn't matter what situation you're in, the pressure's on. And so I wrote it for those types of situations. And this is going to be a book that you're going to go into any sales organization. This is going to be one of the books they recommend that you read to get a head start on that first 90 days, to get a grounding, to really hit the ground running and understand how to get the mindset, the attitude, reduce the friction. So when you get into the room, to get that meeting, to master the emails, to master the actual aim of what you're trying to do, which is secure that first meeting, to do impossible things, to push yourself, to take asymmetric risk, to trust your intuition. And it just goes through all of the steps you need to take. And it is, I don't know if you've read The Psychology of Money at all, but it's by Morgan Housel. Sold about 4 to 5 million copies, but the cover designer is also my cover designer. So this is the First Domino. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm pretty excited by the cover and the testimonials on the back. But
And Tim, what's the subtitle on that? How to what?
it's how to land your first client in 90 days or under.
Hmm.
Again, I'm playing with a couple of subtitles here that the publishers are going through, but that's the first one that I think is going to light this thing on fire. Coming out in a couple of months. And again, it's just training you to become the type of salesperson that can walk into a situation, quickly qualify, open up the conversation through the different types of questioning styles that you apply. So, for example, you might start with that broad, open-ended question, like we all do, just to kind of get things going. Then you go into a specific detrimental question, which is, what's holding you back from reaching your goals or whatever KPIs they've kind of uncovered. And then you might go into more a targeted insight question. So, why is this your strategy? Or why do you see that working? So you're starting to probe and get deep. And I think this is the skill set that's missed. And this is people go out there, especially founders that are non-sales founders that are technical. They've built these amazing products, or so they think, but then trying to get that out into the world and get that first flagship client. They try all their different strategies. After 6, 7 months, the pressure's on. They want to raise again. They can't because they need that first flagship client to prove product market fit or just to get some cash flow. Their runway is depleting, and then they panic. This book is for that moment.
Very cool. Well, we're going to spend some time talking about this first domino and how to win your clients or win a first client in the 90 days, and very applicable to the sales or people as well, because I'm sure the principles are all the exact same. But before we get into some of the meat here, Tim, I always ask all my guests a very special question, and that is, tell us something that nobody knows, even if they're looking, nobody knows about you, excuse me, even if they're looking at any or all of your social profiles. And Tim, I'm kind of looking for something juicy here, man.
That's a great question and one that I can have a lot of fun with. So nobody knows that's not on my profile. So I used to live in the States and I ran away from a summer camp. I was a mountain bike instructor teaching kids how to do downhill mountain bike racing about 20 years ago now. And I ran away after a month um, with a friend, a lady friend, and we left the camp and we got chased out of the camp and then ended up touring America until they decided to threaten me and say, we're going to cancel your visa. So I had about 5 days to get out of America before this visa canceled, and then had to go to Canada and hang out in Canada until this kind of blacklist went away, because I could then come back on a tourist visa and get back into the States. And I ended up doing a whole year in the States, dropping out of uni for the second time, snowboarding, doing all of this cool stuff and living in a new life. And that kind of exposed me to the big world, to New York, to London, to all of the different people that are out there in the world. And I think that really changed the course of my life. But that will not be found online or in any personal things. So you got a juicy bit there, Mario.
Wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. But the question I want to know is how are you paying for all this travel? What were you doing to make the money?
Oh my goodness. And it certainly wasn't with the mountain bike instructor wage they paid you at the summer camp. I was actually selling, like a car boot sale. I was selling lots of old things. I was doing up houses, so renovating and painting, all cash in hand. Probably shouldn't admit that on the podcast, but yeah, I was doing work for friends, family, people out there that needed jobs doing, like cement work, cleaning up their yard, washing cars, anything that I could do to put dollars in the bank to go travel.
That is interesting. And you literally ran away from the camp where you had the tourist visa from, or I assume a work visa.
It's quite a thing because it's a specific visa only to go do whatever skill set you have on that camp for that specific period of time. And so once you leave, um, because it was just way more enjoyable to obviously to travel and to go and see the United States of America. Once you leave, they have the power to cancel that visa. I hadn't really thought that part through, which then meant I was not an illegal alien like the song, but an illegal alien going to be living in the States if I didn't leave by this date. And so flew up to Toronto and sort of waited it out for a few weeks and then flew back down and managed to get in on a tourist visa and then started this quest to yeah, make it as long as I could with the money that I had and just explore the US.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing that tidbit there. So let's get into some of our meat and potatoes here of our podcast and the content. And you talked about the new book coming out in a couple months, The First Domino. So first off, tell us, what is the first domino in sales, and uh, how does it create leverage in the sales process?
Yeah, so there's 12 chapters to the first domino, and each one is a domino to get your first flagship client. So the first domino is your first flagship client, and there are a series of dominoes, much like the domino effect. When you tip the first domino, it's going to set off this chain reaction. And I'm teaching you, I don't know if you can see my mug here, but to close deals, not doors. That's essentially what we're training you here to do, is to understand that you are overthinking the process a lot of the time, that you're letting your emotions run the course, and that once you start to, you know, create defensible differentiators, your IP, your advantage, you create that inner state of knowing and possibility. So my motto is believe it's possible. I think that's something I've learned a lot about in sales, is being unattached to the outcome so that you can go create value. A lot of people in negotiation mistake negotiation for I'm going to take, which is a distributive type negotiation. And that might work for the short-term negotiations. I don't want to disregard that. But what I like to talk about is this integrative negotiation. It's the creativity that goes beyond what we're talking about here and creates more pie. You're expanding the pie, you're creating value. So the first domino is going to teach you to trust your intuition, to become a magic maker, to get an epic life, right? To have adventures that are interesting, to be an interested person that is actually interested in other people, but you have the life experience to be able to go out and to converse in different social settings and worlds, because people feel that dedication, right? If you're committed to sales and you're committed to them, people feel that. And I want you to go out and then start questioning everything using the 55-38 formula. So what that is saying 55% of all communication is body language, facial expressions, how you're showing up right now. It's that energetic transfer. 38% is your voice, your modulation, your tone, your pace, creating that suspense, that dramatic tension, but also leading them somewhere, right? You're using stories, not data, to prove points. You're being memorable. And then the 7 are the words you actually use, right? The 7%, the final 7%. And so I think this is combined with the questions, the specific formula of questions that I will teach you to ask in the book, so that you understand why you're asking the question and when to use them, much like different dominoes. You'll start to tip the scales in your favor.
Interesting. And I guess here's a question for you on body language. Is this something that is impacted through as a result of virtualization, or especially when people don't turn on their video?
Yeah, absolutely. And I face that a lot living in Asia, and it's very common in Asia to turn up with the video not on. And I think it is impacted, but I think it's also a mindset, right? You can bring the energy to that call. You can get people through engagement to turn their video on. You just need to ask them to do it, and you need to do it in a way that doesn't make them feel guilty or resistant. And so, yes, body language is important. Get the meeting face to face if you can. I still think there's a lot of value to FaceTime. I still think that it's important and that you get that rhythm, but at the same time, video is the way that you can get that scale. And you've just got to be able to qualify. So the qualification comes from the questions that you start to ask. Are you actually intending to just push your product's functions and features? Or are you going deeper? Are you really there for your client? Are you uncovering their needs, their challenges? And are you using AI to do that, right? There's a big part here that people are missing, is we have access now to a super genius, a polymath on our fingertips. And as long as you are understanding the prompts that you can input, you're going to get high value answers back. And I think that's another step change that's coming.
Got it. Appreciate that. So talk about, maybe is there a framework that you suggest or that people can follow to win that first domino, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. Like with every book, right? I got taught that early in the book writing process, when The Art of Negotiation got rejected by so many publishers to begin with. They were like, hey, we already have The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. Why do we need this book? Like, no one got it. No one got it. And as working as a negotiator, I could see the problem that I could see it every day, right? Friends, family, colleagues, everyone was calling me to help them out with their negotiations out of contracts, out of phone bills, out of disagreements, and to basically provide those influencing skills, those meta skills back in 2009. And so what is needed sometimes is obviously a framework to help people connect the dots. And so in the first domino, and on the third page of the book, I say, this book is about magic. And it really is, right? Magic stands for make connections everywhere you go, right? You want to be pouring into others. This is about you breathing life into your own dreams by helping other people as you go through the world. And when you start to make connections, you will make connections to add value to those other people and bring them forward. So that's where you start to build that network that starts to work in your favor. Then you want to be adding value. So making those valuable introductions and referrals, not even when it doesn't benefit you, right? This is where you're, again, I heard this piece in this conversation. You're not even telling them you're going to introduce them. You do it off your own back. You go above and beyond. And the intention isn't because you just want to sell them. That can't be your intention. There has to be places where you're doing this, that there's nothing in it for you, yet it's just indicative of who you are. That's where your character is going to come up. Give value willingly. So you've got to start giving without expecting something in return. And again, these skills may sound counterintuitive when you're up against it and the pressure's on, but this is the exact framework that you need to follow to start creating that liberation, that freedom, that lack of tension, to get loose again and to start selling with joy. Then you've got to inspire others' growth, and you can do that through your own example. So how do you show up when the chips don't go in your favor, when you lose that client, when that deal doesn't get signed, when your pipeline isn't full? How are you showing up to that sales call when your pipeline is a lot less than you'd like to be? Lead by example. What have you done to execute? And that's how you start to inspire others' growth. Who have you helped out? How can you help the team and pull their morale and momentum up? And then connection. So I think connection is the kind of glue that holds this whole thing together, and that's the real part of magic. But the framework is what's anchored and woven in through all of these different steps. And I'm going to teach you at the end of each chapter how to execute. So there's a domino challenge that you must do to progress to the next chapter. And some of those challenges are uncomfortable, and they will push you into the unknown. And there's a purpose to that, because I'm going to build that muscle for you, and you've got to trust the process. And then you'll start to see just how quickly this all works in your favor.
Interesting. So, you talked about giving value without expecting something in return. Talk about what that means.
Totally, totally. You're in at the coalface, right? You know who are the guns in sales, right? You know gun salespeople. So you'll start out talking to people, and you can help complementary businesses. When you know right now there's a lot of people that are looking for jobs, there's a lot of good people in the market, you can start feeding those complementary businesses, even if they're not complementary. You can start feeding them top salespeople because you are a valuable person to know. And you can start saying, hey, are you looking for a head of sales? I know a guy. You do it off your own back. That's valuable to that complementary business. But it also establishes your reputation, right? When you can start feeding not just your clients, but those other parts that your business touches on the periphery, you widen that circle of influence. And that's what happens when you do that, right? Even if they don't take that salesperson, it shows you were thinking of them and their business, and you want them to win. What are they now doing for you? They're now recommending your services, product, and you as an individual to their client base when the opportunity comes up. They may not all do it. You haven't asked for it, but you're showing them through example how to win in business. You're also establishing that you're a valuable person to know, and you're helping out this other person who's lost their job and is a valuable asset to the community. So that's how you start to add value. When you do that, your mindset changes, and all of these different ideas are going to pop up. So, for example, you could start a podcast, much like we're doing now, in your niche. You could say, right, I work in tech sales, or I work in this field. I'm going to start a podcast either for the company that you work for, and you can put your hand up for it, or off your own back. What you're doing then is going to meet senior leaders within clients that you would like to win. You're going to bring them on the show. You're going to build value with them. But the value is them giving them a platform to articulate and to build their own brand, right? So it's twofold. You get to build the relationship while giving them value and giving them a platform on which to stand. And that is a major turning point because now you're broadening your network and you're giving them something that can amplify their message, their brand, their company, their reputation, their credibility. So the next time you want to put on a conference or an event, hey, guess what? You've just got 5 different guests you can call up for a panel. So it's strategy mixed with adding value.
Interesting. Okay. And so if we think about that was the first domino, now we're thinking about the Negotiator's Edge. Well, first off, what is the Negotiator's Edge? Talk about that, especially what the impact is of what I think is Negotiator's Edge with AI.
Yeah, so the negotiators, I love talking about this. I think this is basically a follow-up to a more advanced world, right? We've got a more advanced world. Negotiation as a topic. In the last 10 years being an author, I've seen the art of negotiation blow up. It's now in the top 10 on Amazon every day, right? That's fine. Foundation's done. This is about advanced negotiation. And these are where I'm going to teach you the skills to get the negotiator's edge, especially in the world of AI. So we should be using AI to do our first step, which is preparation, to inform our preparation, right? This is very important because even the best negotiators will tell you that they prepare. They know they must do it, and yet they don't. And yet getting yourself into the habit of someone that can go in and prepare a strategy and ask AI, you put it in the role. You say, this is the role I want you to play. This is the context within which you need to perform. And you treat it like you would an employee, that you're going out there, a super genius employee. I want you to tell me the headwinds, the tailwinds. Tell me all the challenges this client faces. Show me how we can add value given what you know about our business, and start to create your strategy. So you ask it, create a strategy off the back of this. Very important. If you're someone that's struggling with negotiation confidence, you can ask it for those beginning opening lines. So give me 3 opening lines. Show me in a bullet point form, because you can ask it the format, how I would navigate this type of challenge. What type of things would this client be focused on? Do they want revenue? Do they want to decrease risk? Do they want to decrease cost? Where are they focused as a business? Important to build influence, because clients are often thinking you're coming into the room and you're uninformed. When you walk into the room and you have a seat at that table and you show them not only you've done your homework, but you're as informed, that you are now ready to move to the next step, that commands respect. Then you want to understand who you're dealing with. And so I love this part, the fact that AI can help you understand who you're dealing with. So you plug in everything you know about this person, like how they behave, what they do, their LinkedIn, all of that information, all of that metadata, and you ask it for that behavioral disc profile, right? You say, conduct a behavioral disc profile on this person. And I cover that in my book, The Momentum Sales Model, which is essentially 4 key styles of dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. And so these are just different parts of who someone could be. And obviously it's an axis, and it's, are you more task orientated? Are you more people orientated? Are you more profit focused? Like, there's different parts of it, but it's going to help you boost your EQ and use AI as your personal coach to improve your EQ. So you start to understand. So if someone is dominance focused, forget the small talk. Focus on the profits, what we can do now. They don't want to be wined and dined. They want to hit the ground running. Focus on what you can do for them. Versus if they want steadiness or compliance, you need to be thinking about that EQ. How can you give them guarantees? How can you decrease that risk for them? How can you make this seem like run-of-the-mill consistency? You're not introducing tons of new products and freaking them out. So using AI to understand who you're dealing with is massive. Then starting to role play, right? Simulate the experience up front, because the more reps you get, the more confident you're going to be. And this is how you gain a negotiator's edge. Because let's be real. Anyone else using AI to help train themselves on how to show up is going to beat you in the room, because they've done the prep, they've got the strategy, they understand who they're dealing with, and they've done 10 role plays, and they've used AI, not just shortcutted it, but they've used it to get incrementally harder. So ask AI to challenge you. Right now, be angry about this point, and then you can train yourself to have that EQ. And then finally, I would say, understand your options. Like, understand your BATNA. So best alternative to a negotiated agreement. You can do that to basically fuel the creativity, that process, so that you're speeding things up. You're just making things much more efficient. Or find your ZOPA, zone of possible agreement. These are not things that you need to rely on, but it's good to know. It takes you 15 seconds to input the prompt, and you've got it based on everything we just covered. So there's so much value now um, from this hybrid form of intelligence, and you're still the human in the loop. We're not outsourcing this to AI. That is really important. What we're saying is, if you're mediocre, if you're lazy, you will get outcompeted.
Okay. I um the question that comes to mind as I heard you talking is um the biggest competitive edge right now for salespeople. Like, what do you believe that is in the marketplace, with it being so volatile and so tough out there? What do you think that competitive edge is?
Yeah, no, great question, Mario. I think when we think about the market right now, the economy, and where the pace of exponential growth, like the velocity of change that's upon salespeople right now, the biggest competitive edge that you have right now is trust building. That's what people are going to pay you money for. That's what's going to make you invaluable to a company. So trust has been on the decline massively over the years. Trust has been on the decline. Deloitte, in fact, did a study of 400,000 workers over 500 brands. And what they found was absolutely shocking, but it was revealing. And they wanted to understand, why do customers trust a brand and become loyal to it? What actions make trust endure through difficult times? Like, what's at the base of this? And how can we build a culture of trust from the inside out, starting with our own workforce? So these are great questions to ask. And what they found was there are four key components to trust. The first is humanity. Do you demonstrate empathy and kindness towards me? Like, we feel that. We feel that doesn't mean that everyone can do it, doesn't mean that everyone's demonstrating humanity. Transparency. Do you openly share information with me? And again, these are strategies you can do to lead by example and gain that reciprocity and set the tone for the conversation up front. Reliability. Like, do you consistently deliver on promises? And capability. Do you deliver quality products? And my belief is, look, at the moment, the time is now. You've got to out-human the AI, because with these four components, I would say capability, products are high quality. Most companies have got high quality products, and most salespeople understand the need to consistently deliver on their promises, especially if they want to keep their reputation. That's what they're fighting for. They're going to deliver. So where I think we have the opportunity to win as salespeople and to gain that competitive edge is in humanity and transparency, because I think this is the single biggest opportunity to create competitive advantage, because it's a skill set that, once you understand how to understand the other person in front of you and to deliver that feeling of empathy, even when they're tense, even when they're angry, even when they're not saying the right things, that's where you get the breakthrough in sales, because you're not starting to push and persuade how we get taught in movies to push and persuade. You're actually starting to deal with the real problems that they're facing and work with them collaboratively. The challenge is that we overestimate how much trust our employees have in us and the company, right? 79% of workers who trust their employer feel motivated to work. So trust definitely it drives human behavior. This is clear, but this is the kicker. Leaders overestimate how much a worker trusts their company and them as a boss by 45%. So we have the wrong read on motivation and on commitment levels of our workforce. So it's like we understand how important trust is, yet we don't understand how to detect if we have it or not. So this is where we start to understand there's a whole skill set to be built here. And I'd say, look, that's where things start to get really, really exciting. But from the customer lens, 88% of customers who have high trust in a brand will buy again from that brand. And 62% of customers who highly trust a brand almost exclusively buy from that brand. So it's, again, an insane competitive advantage in this world where people are chasing products and customer service. Just imagine you've got those two things nailed. You need to double down on trust building.
That's a good one, but also feel like it's very hard to build trust in the pre-hello to the hello phase when you're in that prospecting phase. Certainly from the hello to the close phase, that's where you're all about building trust. Do you have any commentary on how you build trust in this pre-hello to the hello phase, if you would?
Yeah, and that's a great part.
That's all the prospecting phase, as I call it, by the way.
The prospecting phase, I love the prospecting phase, and again, I think this is the biggest opportunity for improvement. Like, quite frankly, I think this is where people could really understand that showing up informed, when you show up informed as the expert and you take the lead there with your client and you talk to them about their headwinds and their challenges, and you can identify areas of opportunity so you understand your client better. That's one first step that you're taking. Then by offering a piece of transparency that you don't have to offer, right? That's you're sort of showing them, right? You might be saying, it's not the obvious. We had a client that was in this situation and then magically we made it amazing for this client and they boosted their profit. It's not that. It might be something like, hey, I'm not sure we can help you here. I'm not sure we're the right fit, but this company over here is. But let's dive deeper and double tap on this. Let's just explore, right? It's that kind of level of transparency. It's when you take your own intentions and your own needs out of the equation and you're really triaging that problem with that first prospect to really get them off and show them that, right, you're not like every other salesperson. You're not someone who's just going to send a templated email and forget that they're actually a human on the other end of this and that they have their own needs and their own job on the line here. You're going to go in deep and you're going to advise them as the expert in the room based on what you know and your experiences and guide them to the right outcome. And so that's where you start to cross the bridge into this trusted world.
Fair, fair. And your book, The Momentum Sales Model, that one was one of the 5 books you mentioned, that recently won an award. What was the award for again?
Yeah, so it won the Axiom Awards, the Business Book Awards in the US. It won a silver medal in the sales category.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
It's a big one, and they actually send you an actual medal, which is amazing, a proper silver medal. So it's a big deal.
And so it's a real silver medal?
I don't think it's real silver, but it looks cool.
As long as it looks good, that's all that matters.
I mean, when I went into being an author, I never thought I'd be winning medals. It's like a big Olympic kind of style medal, but because again, you're competing with a ton of books out there. Millions of books are published every year. Not all of them see the light, and it's great when good ideas get to the top and you realize you're helping people. And I see that through my emails, right? I see that through my inbox every day. Someone's emailing me going, hey, I've implemented the momentum sales model and I'm winning. I'm winning on 2 fronts: commission checks, but also network and reciprocity of business. So that's what I do this for. It's for that exchange, to get those emails to help people, to help someone that I once was.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, can you share a strategy that the Modern Selling Nation can implement to create momentum in sales?
Yeah, and I love that word momentum. So in the book, I highlight a strategy that I know works very well for thousands of people called the 9 before 9 a.m. strategy. And I did this when I was scaling a business that everyone told me wouldn't work. And I was hustling. It was a startup to get this going, to get them through their first few $1 million, right? And to do this very, very quickly under pressure. And so it was to complete 9 revenue generating actions before 9 a.m. And that could be 9 outbound emails. It could be 9 personalized LinkedIn messages. It can be whatever directly pushes the deal forward. But by having those coffees, those business meetings up front before 9 a.m., you're planting 9 seeds in the direction your life wants to go before you even start the day. If you do that every single day, that's 45 different actions you've taken per week. And then you follow up every 3 days on each of those different plants that you've started to grow. You nurture them. You start this compounding momentum that starts to build. You can imagine where you are in a month. 10 days, you've got 450 seeds planted. You're going over 1,000 by the end of the month, plus all the follow-up, which starts to compound. You tell me that that's not going to start getting momentum in your business and create a pipeline that's exciting that you can walk back into that business with and go, this is what I've delivered. This is what I've executed on. This is what's moving me closer to target. So it's not about perfection. It's about creating momentum early, and that momentum carries on throughout of your day. So it's saying, I've done 9 wins before we even start. Now I'm going to go and execute on my day. So it's a whole different mindset of feeling sharper, more in control, and ahead of the game. And you've taken that control back so you don't feel like you're up against it. I don't know about you, Mario, but if you've ever had those days where you feel like the day is getting away from you, and then you're in this kind of place of like hope and luck. I hope that client gets back to me, or I hope that that email comes through, or that deal signs, or I need this, but and you're putting the pressure on. This is a way that you get ahead of it and you show up early with intent.
Yeah, fair enough. Definitely. I feel like it happens to me every single day. The day is always getting away, that's for sure. Thinking about this momentum, if you would, uh, everything comes down to someone buying. Nothing happens till someone buys something, right? And as we think about your expertise in negotiation, um, what's the difference between tactics and strategy in negotiations, and uh, how should sales professionals use, I guess, technology like AI to help in this negotiation?
Yeah, strategy and tactics, I think they get thrown about a lot, um, especially by manipulators, especially by bad actors, right? People are looking for the quick fix, the tactic that's going to win them the deal. They're going to sign on the dotted line, and they're not actually looking to understand negotiation principles. So the difference between negotiation strategy and negotiation tactics is your strategy is your overall game plan, whereas a tactic is a specific move that you can whip off your tool belt, or a technique that you can employ to execute on the plan. So overall game plan, knowing how you're going to approach the deal, which you've already outlined using AI to help you. And obviously that AI has memory turned on, so you're able to refine that and get better and better. You're able to give it feedback. And so strategy is focused on the longer term outcome, the relationship dynamics, it's the deal structure. Tactics are more the short term outcome, the responses, the persuasion techniques that we could use. So they're very different. And the time frames are different, right? The strategy could be big picture, whereas tactics are in the moment. They're during that interaction. And so I would say with strategy, you're co-creating that long-term partnership. That's what you're looking to do. Whereas a tactic could be anchoring. Right? I'm just going to anchor high. I'm going to anchor high. I'm going to work our way down from that price, or that time frame, or that deal parameter. So I'm going to anchor high. Or it could be silence. That's a tactic. I say silence is a weapon. People don't use silence, but if we just slow down and we start to really create silence, someone's putting the pressure on you to respond. We feel like there's a need to respond. If we just integrate being able to control ourselves and put silence back into it, we create that space that the whole pressure diffuses, and we can flip it and we can really think through how we're going to respond. And then you've got control again. Deadline control, labeling, like all of these are tactics. So I think that's the biggest thing, is people are mistaking sometimes tactics for strategies. And they're also looking for tactics because they think if they have enough tactics, that's how they're going to win the deal. And it's certainly not. Like, this is about negotiation being for value creation. So that's what I would say. When you're thinking about negotiation, think about value creation. That's the ultimate win. And don't think about win-win, because I don't necessarily believe in win-win. I imagine that we're doing a deal. There's not really a win-win. There's just did we expand the pie? And are we doing a deal based on that?
And how does technology like AI come into effect here? What does it change? What does it do differently?
With technology and the way this is going to advance, especially in negotiation, you can imagine that this is going to be like the person in your ear. It's like having a best-selling author on negotiation in your ear telling you how to behave, and how to if you're slumping your shoulders, if your tone's dropping, to pick yourself up, to start doing those palms, to really gain control. It's basically going to help you become better in the moment, in real time. It's going to be listening to these conversations. I know there's technology out there in sales right now that is taking the best top selling conversations, the ones that are closing, and feeding that through into all the other reps and salespeople and adjusting on the fly. So that's the beauty of AI. It can help adjust the whole sales team on the fly based on what's been helping to close during the day with your top 10% of sellers. And so you're just, as a workforce, you're going to be getting improved. And as an individual, I think this is just where you can start to gain that competitive edge, that negotiator's edge, and to become better because you start to understand the principles of negotiation, and AI is gonna keep you honest and accountable in that process.
Maybe I'm not understanding that part, Tim. Uh, Deep dive on that for me one more time, because I'm not sure if I understood what you were saying in terms of how you would use AI. So I'd like you to deep dive on that for a second there. So how would you go about functionally using AI? Is there tools? Is there technology? Is there, prompts? What exactly would a person do?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be around your prompt and your prompting quality. AI's output is only going to be as strong as your prompting quality. So you need to be giving it the full context. Like when you're using AI, when you're using ChatGPT, other tools and like there's other widgets you can download, right? You can download tools right now that are going to show you someone's DISC behavioral profile based on all the information that it can find about them on the online and give it to you. So you don't even need to input any information. You can just drop their LinkedIn profile in. It's going to give you that in real time while you're on Zoom. You're reading this and going, hey, they're an influencer type strategy person. Right. They need the small talk. They want to know something about my life that no one else knows. That's who they are as an individual. So that's how AI is going to start feeding in real time, giving you the information. It's going to be analyzing the pace, the tone, the body language of this person on the other side of the call while you're talking to them and showing you on your screen, hey, this person's losing interest. Hey, they mentioned something that's a problem and you didn't pick up on it. Hey, you've been talking for too long. Shut up. This is when you need to be silent. Hold it. It's going to give you all of that information specifically in real time to improve you. And the big lesson here is that you're going to be improved because you're no longer taking shortcuts like going, hey, if I just anger high, this is going to close the deal. I'm going to close it for more money. No, they might walk away. They might think that you have no idea about the concept of their business and what their budget is, and you might actually blow up the whole deal. Versus AI is going to be training you on the exact information using the data in real time. It's the real time nature and the efficiency that's going to improve productivity of all companies. So imagine a company that's using technology like that and implementing it across their sales force and one that isn't, right? And it's not to outsource all of this. It's to say, look, this is a hybrid form of intelligence. This is the edge of intelligence. And this is you working with AI to be stronger as a sales force.
Got it. Okay. And you also, if I'm not mistaken, you have a motto that you have. What is that motto, and how can people apply it?
Yeah, I do have a motto. I certainly do. It's called Believe It's Possible. And so I came up with this motto when I was 19. I negotiated my way into a top London university into the second year of an oversubscribed psychology course. And I put everything on the line, right, to do that. That was something that people were telling me was impossible. You cannot walk up to a university 2 days before the course started. They don't know you. You haven't done any formal application process. You haven't even, that was actually to go back to what we shared earlier. That was after I'd done the US thing and I'd walked away and I'd done a year snowboarding in the US, came back, needed to get into university into the second year. And I had no application, no formal, no one knew who I was, no application. And I missed all the deadlines. And so by understanding that I could break down a problem into its component parts, work through each of those negotiations simultaneously, but get that belief through to the gatekeepers, to the people on the other side, the receptionist at the psychology department, get them to believe in what would need to be possible for this to happen, and then tell me the information that I would need, and then get them on board so they would start to root for me. So that then they would get that we were going forward into this impossible situation that they previously told me no one has ever done before. This is never going to happen. The timelines are too short. We're completely oversubscribed. Please go away and apply next year. I wasn't willing to waste a year of my life not doing this degree. So the way you apply it is to adopt, believe it as possible as your default mindset. So when facing uncertainty, instead of defaulting to fear and believing in doubt, you ask, if I truly believed it was possible, what would I do next? Right? And that flips that hesitation into momentum. It removes those self-imposed limits and gives you space for creative action. I think you can really apply that today. Second, use it as a decision filter. So before making any big decision, maybe you're weighing up to whether to move jobs or whether to move countries. Apply the motto. Does this align with the version of me who believes it is possible? And this clarifies your direction and it eliminates any choices rooted in fear, scarcity, or just your comfort zone. Like, why am I not pressing go on this? And then I'd say finally reprogram that self-talk. And I do this with a lot of my coaching clients. The self-talk that we give ourselves is so limiting. And it's such a constant chatter in our minds. So every time your inner critic is saying to you, look, you can't, you've got to replace it with believe it is possible. Right? It needs to become your default identity, because you're then going to go and you're going to try and figure it out. And so you're going to make it your mantra, especially during adversity. So that's going to build mental resilience and it's going to rewire your belief system. So that the power of just having a motto, or take believe it is possible and start doing those 3 steps today, you're going to fly.
Well, Tim, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you sharing so many great tips on negotiation, your motto, even the mindset component here. So, do me a favor, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way? Is it on X? Is it on LinkedIn? What's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah. So my email is tim@timjscapital.com. That's also where you can find my website. But on Instagram, I'm at timjscastle, or all social. So that's the handle. Those 2 are probably the best to reach out and find me, or just Google my name and you'll find some way to make it through.
Tim Castle, if you're going to connect with him on LinkedIn or reach out on social media, hey, guys, make sure you let Tim know that you heard him on the Modern Selling podcast here, so that he knows exactly where you are coming from. With that in mind, Tim, I always ask all my guests this very last question, and that is, tell us your all-time favorite movie.
Wow, what a question to end things on. I love it. Okay, first thing that comes to mind is Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think that's probably, I mean, yeah, it gets me going, because there's so many different scenarios that he's putting himself in. And again, if we just go back to the motto, he's believing it's possible. He's walking in pretending to be a pilot, right? He's walking into being a surgeon. It's just exemplifying what I'm talking about. You're breaking through the predefined barriers of what we think is possible. And that movie shows that. Yeah, he got caught in the end and then escaped and started working for the FBI, all that stuff. But it's a pretty cool movie.
No doubt about it. He believed that it was possible, and he played that role very, very well. I love that movie, Catch Me If You Can. Very good. Well, listen, it's been great having you on the show. Hey, all you listening in right now to the Modern Selling Podcast, don't turn that dial quite yet. We've got this very important message for you right now.
Thanks for listening to the Modern Selling Podcast. Please do me a huge favor and give the Modern Selling Podcast a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Oh, and don't forget, if you'd like to save 20 hours or more in a month and increase your productivity, go right now and download Fly Message, that's flymsg.io, for free. It's your free text expander and personal writing assistant. Hey, thanks for listening in, and until the next episode, good selling.
Podcast.